Basic table service skills and basic observations. A serving gear is a F&B service tool that is commonly used by servers. It is a combination of a serving spoon and fork held in a handy grip that functions like a food tong. Essentially, the serving gear is used to portion out food, whether in front of or aside from the guests. You may follow the step-by-step illustrations and try out on how to hold and use a serving gear. Serving gear is used often in an English and family-style services. In Western and Chinese F&B, let's take a short moment for you to try to practice the grip before we move on. To further understand about food portioning that was touched on in the previous slide, let's observe these pictures. What you see here are typical dishes at a Chinese banquet. Amongst these dishes, which do you think is the dish that requires portioning? If you have picked the soup dish, you are right. Apart from the soup, all other dishes are generally easier to be picked up by the guests without hassle. Therefore, it will be more appropriate for the soup to be portioned and served by the service staff. Although that being said, ultimately, the host or organizer of the event may choose all or selected dishes to be done with portion service. Out of all dishes that you may get to portion in a Chinese banquet, which do you think is the most challenging of all? Portioning a plate of steamed whole fish should put you to the test. With reference to the picture, let's see how it is done. Firstly, we need to know how many portions to have by looking at the seating capacity. Assuming if it is a standard table size in a Chinese banquet, we will need 10 portions. Secondly, we will need to get the correct gear for cutting the fish. Generally, a serving fork and fish knife are recommended to be used. Thirdly, we will work on the fish. Start off by carefully removing any garnishing on the fish to the side, followed by cutting off its head and tail. Continue on by cutting a line through both sides of the dorsal fin pin bones. Then, separate both sides of the meat away from the pin bones and spine bones. At this stage, you should get 2 main pieces of the fish meat. Carry on to cut 10 smaller pieces out of these 2 main pieces as indicated. Please also note that there are 2 extra pieces of fin meat which can be used as a standby in unforeseen circumstances. Lastly, depending on whether to serve the guest individually or as a sharing dish, we may need to prepare adequate serving plates and plate the 10 small portions of fish meat with its sauces, and serve the guests separately. From this point onwards, we will be showing and sharing some common F&B settings and equipment which will allow you to be more familiar with the banquet and restaurant scenes when you enter the industry. Looking at picture 1, this is a Lazy Susan. It is a round flat glass panel that is normally fitted on a banquet round table used in a family-style service. Diners will be able to pick their food off the dishes placed on the Lazy Susan, by rotating the dishes to be in front of them. Picture 2 shows a round banquet table. These tables come in different sizes. In Singapore, it is common to find 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 feet sizes. A 6 feet round table can comfortably sit 10 persons. Picture 3 shows a banquet chair. These chairs come with a fixed seat cushion and a metal frame body. They are stackable for storage and are fitted with a chair cover when in use. Picture 4 displays an oblong table, which in general can be called a long rectangular table. It is commonly used for side tables or buffet setups. Its distinct character is that the length will always be greater than the width. Common sizes are 2 by 3 feet, 2 by 4, and 2 by 6. Picture 5 presents a square table which is often used in local Western F&B services. Their sizes vary from a range of 3, 4, 5, 6 feet. A 6 feet square table can comfortably sit up to 8 persons. Significantly, unlike a round table, square tables can be joined together to make bigger sitting arrangements. In this slide, let's try to identify and associate each picture with a F&B service setting. Picture 1 shows a basic square table set up for a Western service. Picture 2 is simply a buffet table set up, and may be serving an international cuisine. Picture 3 is an individual setup on a round table that looks very much like a modern Chinese service, and most probably for a wedding because of the door gift. Picture 4 depicts a function hall that is set up with round tables. It is quite likely to be a Chinese wedding hinted by the table set up and its decorations. Continuing from the last slide, you can see that picture 5 here shows round tables being set up around the function hall with a space left out in the middle. And for that reason, along with the table settings, this probably could be a Western-style dinner and dance event. Picture 6 appears to be a long table setup, and based on the decorations and table settings, it might very well be a Western F&B service for a formal matrimonial event. Looking at picture 7, based on the round table settings and decorations, this could be simply a company dinner and maybe for the Christmas occasion. Last but not least, for picture 8, and also to refresh on what you learnt earlier on, the female waitstaff is serving the guest with a platter of food. So it is quite obvious that this would be a platter to plate or English service. We have come to an end of the session. Thank you for your patience and for listening. We wish you all the best for your first day at work.